2024 promises to be a huge year for Apple. We already got Vision Pro. And even though this is a huge deal for Apple, the company isn't abandoning other products. Let's take a look at every single event and every little update to expect in 2024. The closest event is the March event, and it's going to be quite a departure from what we got in 2023. And as you all well know, March is all about the iPads. 2023 was a disastrous year for iPad lovers since the company hasn't said a word about them in the whole of last year. But 2024 is going to be different. According to Mark Gurman, this spring, we could expect to see new iPad Pros, Airs, and even a new MacBook. The first big change is coming to Pro iPads. They're rumored to become slightly larger at 11.1 inch and 13.1 inch. At the same time, the physical dimensions will remain largely the same, with only a marginal difference in height and width, but the thickness is expected to drop dramatically, down to 5.1 millimeters for the 11-inch iPad Pro and 5 millimeters for the 13-inch model. And the main reason for this will be the new display technology. Yes, you guessed correctly. The 2024 iPad Pros will finally get OLED displays, and I'm so happy about that. Right now, the 12.9-inch, this one, iPad Pro, uses the mini LED technology, while the 11-inch model still uses the IPS panel that Apple calls Liquid Retina. And don't get me wrong, the display on it is great, but if you have ever tried OLED, you know how big of a difference it can make. First, OLED allows for much higher brightness and better dynamic range. Second, OLED displays are more energy efficient than IPS or mini LED displays, so there is definitely going to be a small boost to the battery life. So far, there are no exact numbers for the new brightness or any additional features this type of display could bring, but I am sure Apple will figure this out and come up with something cool. Another noticeable change will be the SoC. According to rumors, Apple is planning to equip the 2024 iPad Pros with the M3 chip, and I find it absolutely ridiculous. But not from the plausibility standpoint, but from the practical one. Even the M1 iPad is incredibly fast and has much more power than it really needs. The same could be said about the M2 model, but the M3 is gonna be such an overkill in every possible way. However, even if you're not planning on using all that raw power, the M3 has a few tricks up its sleeves, and they all have to do with efficiency. Since the M3 is built on a 3nm process and has more efficient GPU management, it can consume less energy and produce less heat. And for a device as small as the iPad Pro, these improvements are more than welcomed. Aside from that, the overall design will most likely remain the same. And to me, this is kind of sad. This design is 6 years old and is well overdue for a small refresh. And apparently, this small refresh is coming to the iPad Air instead of the Pro. If the leaked design is correct, then the 2024 iPad Airs will get redesigned rear camera unit with a longer pill shape. It looks quite nice if you ask me. Also, Apple is apparently working on two versions of the iPad Air, 10.9 and 12.9 inch. I'm not sure that the bigger version will be that successful, but at least it means that the price for the 11-inch model could be lowered. Let's not kid ourselves, it will surely be less expensive than the 12.9 one. Another big change will be the introduction of the M2 or the M3 processor. Personally, I'm leaning towards the M2 because this SoC is already 2 years old but has plenty of power for everyone. Choosing the M2 instead of the M3 for the iPad Air will be a great way for Apple to separate Airs from Pros. All these leaks make the upcoming iPad Airs seem like a great deal, but I have a few questions. Currently, the price difference between the M1 iPad Air and the M2 iPad Pro is $200. If Apple is going to introduce a larger iPad Air model, it will surely be more expensive, at least by $100. This will narrow the gap between Air and Pro iPads to just $100, assuming the price of iPad Pros remains the same. And this will make the 13-inch iPad Air redundant right from the start, because why wouldn't you pay $100 extra and get a much better iPad with only a marginally smaller display? Also, let's not forget that all the M2 iPad Pro models will go on sale as soon as the M3 ones get released, so there's a really high chance that you would be able to buy the new refurbished M2 iPad Pro for the same price as the M2 iPad Airs. Also, did you know that the files you delete from your iPhone don't just disappear and can be recovered, you can restore your deleted photos in iCloud or use iTunes for that. Or you can just use Easy, the best app for restoring lost and deleted files. I just plug in the phone to my computer, let it scan everything, and then just select the photos I want to recover. It's that easy. No need to fiddle around with cloud storage, hurry with Apple's own methods to do everything before the iCloud deletes everything. With Easy, it's literally a 3-click operation. I will leave a link to Easy in the description. Leakers also suggest that at the same spring event, Apple plans to update the MacBook Airs and give them the M3 chip. But I have my doubts about that. Since this is going to be the only difference between the M2 and the M3 MacBook Airs, let's talk about this rumor a bit more. Some of you might say that the M2 inside current MacBook Airs is almost 2 years old and needs an update, and I can agree with you on that. But let's not forget that just a couple months back, Apple released the M3 MacBook Pro for $1,600 with the same M3. The M2 13-inch MacBook Air costs $1,000 and the 15-inch model costs $1,200. These prices create that $400 price gap between Air and Pro MacBooks. If Apple suddenly decides to give the M3 to the MacBook Air without increasing the price, it could potentially hinder the sales of the 14-inch M3 MacBook Pro, because why would you pay $400 extra to just get a better display and a couple more ports? Anyway, I will not be surprised if Apple does put the M3 into the new MacBook Airs just for the sake of it. What really pains me to say is that there is no known release date for 2 more iPads, the iPad mini 7 and the low-cost iPad. The updates to these devices are rumored to be pretty minor and mostly include only chip upgrades with no design changes, but I really hope Apple won't forget about the iPad mini this year. I was really looking forward to trying it. What we know for sure is that the June event is also gearing up to be quite powerful. Big updates to all operating systems, but the majority of information we have is circulating around iOS 18. And before I get into that, let's briefly cover everything else. The iPadOS 18 is expected to have largely the same features as the iOS 18. macOS 15 will probably just continue the legacy of the macOS Sonoma. When it comes to tvOS 18, watchOS 11, and visionOS 2, we have absolutely no info. So let's go back to iOS 18 and its AI features because it promises to be hot. First, the AI in iOS 18 is expected to be integrated into the majority of built-in apps. For example, Apple Music could offer auto-generated playlists, and apps like Pages and Keynote can get AI-assisted writing and slide deck creation. I'm not sure Apple is planning to go the same route the Samsung went with its AI features, but there will definitely be something. There has also been a leak that these AI features could be limited to the newest iPhone 16 Pro, and I'm gonna talk about it later. Right now, I wanna say a few words about Siri because it's rumored to be revamped the most. Some leakers suggest that Apple is planning to use large language models to turn Siri into the ultimate virtual assistant. Other rumors suggest that Siri will have better natural conversation capabilities and improved personalization. The same leaks say that this new functionality will be available across devices. Mark Gurman from Bloomberg says that Apple is working on an improved interaction between Siri and the Messages app, which will allow Siri to auto-complete sentences more effectively and answer complex questions. I'm not sure that it's gonna look like the assistant baked into the keyboard like Samsung did, but I seriously hope that Apple will do something to Siri and its ability to not only recognize the voice, but also make it more responsive and useful. Because I'm telling you, I don't use Siri, and each time I try, I come out more disappointed than before. Maybe I'm expecting too much, but still. There's also been a couple small rumors about the design change in the iOS 18. Some people like Mark Gurman believe that Apple is already working on the system redesign, and one sketchy rumor even suggested that the iOS 18 will have the VisionOS inspired look. Even though I think there's no possible way to use the design language of the VisionOS, it would be nice to get a fresh look for the system once in a while. But the most interesting month for sure for Apple is gonna be September. I hope you're holding on to your seats because the amount of stuff we're gonna get in September will blow you away. First, First, the entire iPhone 16 lineup. One of the biggest changes this year is going to be the size. All Pro iPhones displays are going to get bigger. The 16 Pro will get a 6.27-inch display, and 16 Pro Max will grow up to 6.86 inches. Also, the display technology could change to micro lens. To us users, it means even higher brightness and even lower power consumption. The regular 16 and 16 Plus stick into the same 6.1 and 6.7 inches, but might finally get the high refresh rate displays. Some claim them to get 120 Hz like Pro iPhones, while others speculate about 90 Hz. I personally would welcome both of these outcomes. Also, all new iPhones might feature special capture button. Leakers think it will be used for shooting photos and spatial videos, even the placement suggests it. As for the action button, it's not going anywhere. It's expanding and will arrive to the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus. It's unclear whether it will bring any new features, but still a welcome addition nonetheless. Also, the camera placement in regular iPhone 16 and 16 Plus is gonna be different. Vertical, back to basics. And leaked schematics also show the same thing. Personally, I like this design, but not entirely sure about the flash being separated from the camera bump. Something doesn't sit right with me here. And if you think that's a crazy change, the camera bump on the 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max could see a much crazier transformation. Just take a look at this. I don't even know how to describe this. This fidget spinner, that's what it is. If you ask me, this looks so unusual and strange that it might just work. But okay, let's brush over technicalities. How would you like to know that both iPhone 16 Pro models, again, rumored to feature 5x optical zoom? The Tetra Prism technology is expanding, and that's a fact. I do hope this rumor ends up to be true. 5x is so cool, and by the way, we've just made a video about my long-term experience with the 15 Pro and Pro Max. Also, the 16 Pro is rumored to have a 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera, and I hope that's true. All these years, the ultra-wide camera on iPhones was kind of lacking, but now it's gonna be the best in class. Then there's also gonna be a chip upgrade for both 16 and 16 Pro, but it's yet unclear how different the new chips will be. Some say that the iPhone 16 will have a processor designed specifically for it, and it's gonna use a different manufacturing process. However, Jeff Pu paints a different picture of all processors using the same N3E technology, but being slightly different in architecture. He says that all processors will be named A18. It's too early to say, and does it really matter? iPhones are crazy powerful, and to me it won't matter if the 16 Pro will use the same A17 Pro from the 15 Pro. At least as long as it doesn't stop me from using the AI features. Some leaks confirm that all iPhone 16 models will have an upgraded neural engine for those generative AI features to work. But I personally think only some AI features could be limited to 16 and 16 Pro, not all of them. So to all 15 Pro owners out there, don't you worry, you're gonna be just fine. Alongside the new iPhones, we will also see the 10th gen, the Apple Watch, and the 3rd gen of the Apple Watch Ultra. According to leaks, the Apple Watch X, or 10 as it might be called, will finally get a major redesign. We don't know how the watch will look, but there are two main options, circular and with square sides. If you remember, the squared off design was initially rumored for the Series 7 or 8, and if you ask me, the 10th gen seems like a great moment to make it all happen. This new design, consequently, will mean a new band attachment system, which will make all the bands you own usable with the newest Watch 10. Even though it makes me a bit sad, it also makes a lot of sense. The engineers need more space inside for all of the components and health features, such as blood pressure monitoring. I also hope that Apple will find a way to bring blood oxygen monitoring back. Oh, and apparently the Apple Watch 10 will learn to measure sleep apnea. I don't exactly know how this will work, but if it doesn't require additional sensors, it could be a feature of the watchOS 11. As for the Watch Ultra 3, will most likely remain largely the same visually, but get all of the new features like the Watch 10X. Who knows? Apple also has the Apple Watch SE lineup, but there are no rumors about that at all. Though if you ask me, it would make a lot of sense to update the SE with the design of the Apple Watch 9 and the S9 chip, but that's only my guess. Now, how about a real banger? The AirPods 4 are coming in 2024 and are expected to get active noise cancellation. Well, that's what I call an unexpected turn of events. Apparently, Apple is planning to give us 2 different versions of the Gen 4 AirPods, and only the more expensive one will get the A and C. This move apparently will allow Apple to replace both the AirPods 3 and the lower priced AirPods 2 at the same time, and it's a really smart move. Hats off to you, Apple. Also, the 4th gen AirPods could get a slightly upgraded design and look like something between the current AirPods and the AirPods Pro with shorter stems. The redesigned case will also get Find My alerts and a USB-C charging port. As of right now, we know nothing about the pricing of these AirPods, but tell me, if the AirPods 4 with A and C will cost $200, will you buy it? Or will you pay $50 extra to go for the AirPods Pro? I guess that's the type of question we could answer only after the event. Then there's also the AirPods Max 2nd gen, and the improvements here are gonna be rather minuscule. The only noticeable difference that we could expect will be the Type-C port instead of Lightning, and new colors. We don't know which colors we will get, but I'm hoping to see something a bit more vibrant than pale green, blue, and red. I want vibrancy. I want real green, I want real yellow, I want real red. The only AirPods model that's not gonna receive any upgrade in 2024 is the AirPods Pro. I must say this makes me a bit sad, but from a practical standpoint, would be a smart decision on Apple's part. Why would they release a new version if the previous one came out a little over a year ago, still has all the features you can think of, and recently got a Type-C port charging case? You got the gist. It feels like I've been sitting here forever, listening device after device, feature after feature, and I'm still not done. Because there's still a ton of devices that need updating. For example, the Apple TV 4K is rumored to get a minor spec bump to a faster A16 processor. The Mac Mini could get its M3 upgrade too. The same could happen to Mac Studio and Mac Pro if Apple eventually decides to release the M3 Ultra. Some people are also waiting for a mysterious home hub device, and believe me, that thing deserves its own video. The Pro Display XDR or Studio Display haven't received an upgrade in years, and the long-awaited iMac Pro is still nowhere to be found. If Apple decides to go all out and release everything in 2024, this is gonna be the most jam-packed year for techies like me. And if right now you're planning to buy a new MacBook, we've just released a great video about all the M series chips. Thanks for watching, and see you there.